Okay. We're live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn not even Skippy could save this episode.
And in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me as always, Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how we doing?
I'm great. Guys, we're, I think, halfway through Season 3 today.
Wow.
We survived. Wow. It's been a long road.
Stew on that.
Corey and I are speechless right now. We're like, whoa.
Wow. I have the patience of Job.
I mean, at this point in other seasons, it felt like we had established something. Season 3, it just feels like we just keep falling ass backwards into another episode.
It's true. I feel like they've been treading all around the baby because the baby threw whatever plans they had off.
Yeah. The first 2 seasons, even though we went through rough patches, there were at least these moments, these episodes that would pop up. They were like, wow, that was really great. And I feel we really haven't had that this season at all.
Yeah.
Nothing that really stands out as being like, oh, wow, that was great.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not this episode.
Not this episode. But Skippy's been getting a lot of work lately.
Yeah, good for Mark Price. He's getting
good for Mark Price. Well, if you're playing along at home, we are on Season 3, Episode 11, entitled Don't Kiss Me, I'm Only the Messenger. And in this episode, Skippy's going to find a new love. He's been obsessed with Mallory, but he's very quickly going to find a new love. And we start in the living room, and Elise is traveling again.
Yep.
She's
and
flying.
Alone.
And alone.
I mean, she's going to an architect convention, another one. Hopefully there's not gambling at this one.
Yeah. Okay. And she's very, very pregnant. When there's a cutoff point where you're not allowed to get on an airplane if you're a pregnant woman. I'm feeling like that is very true in the 80s as well, too. She's very close to that point, if not there.
It seemed like it was filmed out of sequence to me, that this was actually filmed when she was pregnant, because that's why she's only in that the first scene of the episode, right? And then she's gone.
Maybe.
She doesn't appear again after this. We send her off to a convention, and she doesn't appear again in the episode.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. What is she? Is she breastfeeding? Is necessary for her to miss a week for maternity leave? I just can't quite figure out what's going on with her. Why she's in some episodes, not in some episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it just seemed like you could just ride her on bed rest. Yeah, at this point I figure maybe it's time to go look at Wikipedia to see if things are filmed out of order or whatever, because it's just every episode is so weird of how much they use her, or if they have to play around her somewhat, or it's really odd.
I'm sort of hoping that we get through this and we get her back in full time without what's the baby's name? Andy.
Andy. Yeah.
Yeah. Before Andy's born, do we get Andy this season? I'm assuming, don't we?
I think it's probably the season finale. Or somewhere around there, where it's like a two-part episode where
something wacky is going to happen on the way to the delivery room.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. At least this is the only scene she's in. She flies off for the convention, and Skippy comes over, as usual, to flirt with Mallory. And wants to see if Mallory's up to anything, but Mallory has her friend Jane, who we've never met before, coming over. Jane almost instantly comes over, is knocking at the door, and Skippy is smitten with her.
That's all you can say. He's smitten. That's the word. It's immediate smittenness.
Total smit.
He's
He
very
said,
smote. Yeah.
the girl of my dreams. Now, this is what I find curious about this. If you're in love with somebody, and you're going to trade that person who you're so in love with, and in this case, let's say it's Mallory Keaton he's in love with, wouldn't you trade up and not trade down? And I feel like he's trading down with Jane.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
looks similar. It's Skippy as a type, you know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he feels like she's more accessible or something.
Maybe, I think, lower self-esteem. He's got a better shot.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Jane's hair was really weird. I don't know if that was a style for the time of the 80s, but that bob hair was...
The hair was to cover up the skin.
Her bad skin.
Corey has a
That hair
conspiracy theory.
right
Corey.
Covers the feet.
So what did you notice? When did you notice this, Corey?
How did you find... Yeah, at what point?
I froze it when the camera goes in and they're kissing for the first time, right before the act break, when they kiss, after she tells him that Jane voted for her 300 times, they go in and they kiss, and the camera gets the only close up, and her head's to the side, and I froze the frame because I said, "What's that on her face? Is that a rash?" And it was like, "Oh no, it's makeup over zits. It's bad skin." It was just bumpy. It looked like a relief map of Colorado.
Jane Boulder.
Melanie.
Jane Boulder.
Is that her name, Jane Boulder? Is that it?
No, that's what we should call her. Yeah, so Mallory and Jane go upstairs, and Skippy talks to Alex because now he has fallen in love with Jane and doesn't know how to speak to her. And Alex tries to calm it down. He's like, look, just talk to her. Tell her about your positive things. You've never been convicted of a felon. All this weird stuff. And so Jane comes back down. Skippy actually tries to approach her, speaks gibberish, throws his hand out, and smacks the crap out of the lamp in the living room.
Now, this is crazy because in the last episode, Alex threw the football and broke a blue lamp. In this next episode, Skippy flings his arm and breaks a different blue lamp.
Yep.
It's the craziest thing ever.
The Keatons now have no lamps.
Yeah.
And so it's we cut back to the kitchen. It's the next day. Skippy is over and he's talking to Alex about, how can I talk to Jane? I really like her and everything. And we start to see Mallory get a little bit jealous because Skippy doesn't know her or isn't talking to her.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this when Alex is flirting by accident, where he's trying to flirt with Jane for Skippy, but she misunderstands?
It happens in this scene. Yes, we're getting there.
Okay.
Because right. So basically, Skippy is trying to convince Alex, please help me. Alex agrees. Now, here's the thing. If Skippy needs somebody to talk to Jane for him, why didn't he talk? Wouldn't it be more interesting for him to talk to Mallory about this? I mean, they're best friends.
You'd think.
It's just we had to work in Alex in this episode. When you really, outside of it, unless, for the conflict we eventually get, Alex needs to be there. But up until this point, the logical thing would be look, your friend, I think she's cute. Can you help me, get to know her?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
This episode, it feels like, in watching this episode, it feels like we've seen this episode before. I don't know which one it was.
Oh, yeah.
But this plot feels like we've seen it at least twice. I don't know. It's like there was that episode where...
I was going to say,
Corey?
I was going to say that the Skippy turns everything into a disaster episode has already been mined for everything they can mine it for, and this one was just so consistently Skippy's a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is the premise of this has been done 1 billion times.
Yeah, yeah. And also, Mark Price, for all of his comedic abilities, having him do tons of physical comedy is not good.
It's not the answer. Less is more of Skippy.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of physical comedy, right now, Henry, Scott's son, is stealing my headphones.
Strangling me with my own headphones.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much better than everything Skippy does in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
It is, right? He thinks so too. All right, give that I'm not. That's just for a second. All right. Let's pick it back up here.
No.
All right.
It's all staying in. That's
staying in. Okay, Frank, keep it in. If the listeners want Henry strangling me with a cord, keep it in.
I don't care what the listeners want. Paul and I.
Sorry, just want it.
Vote.
All right. All right. So here's where the twist, or here's where our conflict comes in. Is Jane comes over to hang out with Mallory, and Alex brings her over to try to hype up Skippy. The language Alex uses to talk to her is very vague because he basically says, "I'm so happy to hear that you don't have a boyfriend." To which Jane thinks Alex is asking her out.
Mm-hmm.
And she has had a crush on him since the first grade. So she is so excited and immediately leans in and starts making out with Alex.
It was
So we see where this
intense.
is.
She went from 0 to 60 really fast.
That girl was hotter than Pistol. Unbelievable. I just thought it's like, wow, I like when they bring sex to the show, but she was just all over Alex P. Keaton.
Yeah.
And the language, she's like lingering at the door frame, leaning back on it, and she says, "I've had a deep yearning for you."
Yeah, I wrote that. A desperate, passionate yearning for you.
Yeah.
If a girl said that to me, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably have to go home and cry or something. I don't know. That would be.
Really? That's what you do? I would ejaculate.
It was just intense, She's like 15, 16 years old, and she's throwing out Yeats or something. It was just like, whoa, what is all this yearning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Throughout this whole episode, in the world of Family Ties, she's extremely sexual for this show.
Yeah.
I hate
even more sexual. Yeah.
I hate to backtrack on an episode this goddamn awful, but we have glossed over the generous B plot that they have provided us with in this episode.
Oh, the rat, the mouse.
Just the most awful excuse for a B plot they've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here, Corey, explain how it went down, because I had forgotten it until you just said it.
Talk about it, Corey. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. They see a mouse in the kitchen early in the second scene, and Alex jumps up like a scared little girl, and Dad starts to go after the mouse with a broom, and it seems as though Alex is more scared than Mallory and Jennifer are, but it sets off the B plot, which is Steven and Jennifer are determined to catch this mouse.
Right. It becomes their modus operandi for the rest of the episode.
Right. That's exactly right. It gives them a reason to live. And unfortunately, while they had a reason to live, I had a reason to put my pen down every time they came out with some more of the chazarai that they needed to catch the mouse. It was like, oh, okay, I could take a break right now. This is
really simple.
The worst.
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
The worst part of it, though, is that they're doing a scene. They're like, oh, the merits of orange juice, and then all of a sudden a scream, and then there's a mouse. Everyone's jumping on furniture, but it's so out of left field. It's like normal scenes happening, and then it's a whole play about a mouse, and you're like, what does this have to do with anything?
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere, and you know what? You can go buy a mousetrap. They're trying to draw out plans to build a mousetrap and get supplies. You can go out and buy a mousetrap.
It's like you need a caper. It's like a caper movie to catch a mouse. It's like catch the fucking mouse. It's a mouse.
It's like that board game, Mousetrap, where it's like that big Rube Goldberg board game, but they're trying to create it in real life. They're like, no. The only way to catch a mouse is to have a huge system that goes through our entire house.
Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Keep going, guys.
No, that's fine. So it's back to Alex and what's-her-name, and they're getting all hot and heavy and everything, and as they're flirting, one of the funny parts is that she's like, I voted for you for the student council president, and he's like, yeah, I still lost, and she was like, I voted 300 times, sorry you lost, and then they kiss, and they make out a bunch, and then Alex is like, Skippy is a terrific kisser, and she says, how do you know? And it gets a huge laugh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, we went to kissing school together, and that gets another laugh. And then they kiss, and then it's a commercial break.
Yes, it is.
So
thank God.
We'll take a quick commercial break and take some kissing classes, and we'll let you know how what everyone's grades are when we come back. We'll be right back. And we're back. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
C minus.
Oh.
All right. I just want to point out I know we've kind of said this before, but everything Skippy is wearing in this episode is like the most hipstery thing today.
He is.
It's really, actually, I was like, I bet if I went to Los Feliz right now, you would see a bunch of people dressed like that.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, so I had to go take care of Henry. Where do we leave off?
Act 2.
We are now 3 days later. Yeah, we're in Act 2. It's 3 days later, and hands Skippy an orange. I think Alex gives him an orange when he's giving Skippy advice, that he's like, oh, you should do this, and everything's fine with Jane, don't worry about it. And I thought the fact that he gave him an orange instead of an orange juice, if I were Skippy, I'd be very concerned.
The metaphor of you will have to work at this yourself. Squeeze it yourself.
That's kind of the symbolism here.
A little bit.
Skippy, if you want the fruit of your endeavors, you have to make endeavors first.
Right. Hold on. Keep it going.
Oh, no. So anyway, yeah, I mean, life is hard, as Henry is now experiencing, but, hopefully Skippy will be able to find out the same. I wrote down more mouse BS, so I guess... there's more B-plot.
My note says, Mousetrap Business B-plot, is all it says, which comes right after a bad Skippy Ricardo Montalban joke.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Yes.
Yeah, Skippy seems so immature. Well, what name would you like to use? Ricardo Montalban?
Yeah. Oh, the other thing about this episode that we didn't even bring up, with all of this talk about Skippy wanting to get laid and everything, Mark Price's voice is starting to change in this episode. Did you guys notice?
Not really. Where did you notice it?
First time he came on screen, he was like, hey, and I was just like, oh, what's going on? It sounded like he had a cold or something, but then it was like throughout the episode. Yeah, so I thought that was an entertaining little meta thing.
That's awesome. So Jane calls. Have we had Jane call? Jane calls Alex.
Right.
And it's just because she's thinking of him, and and wants Alex to give her a kiss over the phone. And Steven's hearing all this. And once the phone call is over, Alex kind of confesses to Steven, or confides to Steven. It's like, look, Skippy's into this girl, but she's into me, and she's really attractive. And Steven says, well, you know what the right thing to do is. I mean, it sounds like this girl means more to Skippy than she does to you. He even describes it as we have a very...
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strike one, Steven, because here's... the thing is, Alex goes in a very funny line. He's like, we found ourselves in a very significant, meaningful lust. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. I like that too. And it got a laugh.
It got a laugh, totally. But like the fact that Alex and Jane both enjoy each other and are, turned on and digging on each other, and she doesn't like Skippy. Guess what?
Yeah, I thought
the thing is,
I agree.
What Steven should say is, the problem is you need to tell Skippy. Not Jane is some prize to be passed over to the guy who saw her first.
It was very sexist. I thought so too. It was Jane was the one who made this decision. And what are you going to do? Jane, you're wrong. You're supposed to like Skippy, not me.
Right? Yeah.
Who does that?
I couldn't believe Steven said that. It was the weirdest thing, because it was just like that. Because it was so funny, because it was like, well, you know what you have to do, Alex. And I was thinking to myself, tell Skippy. And then he's like, you need to pass her over.
And I was like, no, that's not really the advice that you should be giving him.
Right. And so then he leaves, and Alex is like, all right, and he calls her on the phone, and then immediately is like, hey, you want to go get dinner at Guido's? Everyone goes to Guido's. The Italian restaurant is the most popular place in Cleveland, or wherever they are.
Well, let's face facts. They're also too cheap to build another set.
That's true. Yeah.
But there's a lot of action, and Guido's always seems to be the home of the slapstick comedy scenes.
Yeah. Everything there must be made of rubber or something. They're like, we need everyone bouncing around, so yeah, set it at Guido's. But
Skippy comes in this scene in Guido's. Does he look like a pimp or a magician? I couldn't figure out what outfit he was in.
Again,
I was so much
you will see that in Los Feliz.
He looked like
It's a hipster. It's a hipster wearing that.
It's so like you could literally see. Yeah. So it's this. Why would Jane agree to this? Like, I don't want to get.
He didn't mention another sexist thing. No, he says at the end of the conversation, we're gonna have Italian food and Skippy, and then he hangs up, right?
Right.
So it's like, why would you go? It's like, I'd call him back and say, I don't want to have dinner with Skippy.
I don't want Skippy there.
Because I plan on sitting on your face in about 40 minutes.
Now here's the thing that's funny. I thought, because the only interaction Jane has had with Skippy at this point is where he can't talk around her because he likes her so much. So when he broke that lamp, she's like, hi, what's your name? And he's just like, bleh, and he hits the lamp. I thought that when they got to the table and sat down, she was going to be like, your slow friend who, you take care of.
Right.
Special friend.
That's why I thought,
She didn't.
Right.
Well, funny, I wrote down at one point, Skippy, very much like Doug a couple of weeks ago, seems to be on the spectrum in this episode.
Yes. Yeah.
He's
so nervous that he ability to speak.
No.
He loses
now,
all
I
ability
would
to
quickly
speak.
do a parenthetical here. As Scott was dealing with Henry, Corey's dog, about 30 seconds ago, was also climbing on top of him. So luckily, I'm all by my lonesome, and
you know what? I'm amazing, and we're still pulling through this episode. This is great.
Yeah, we're killing it. We are doing so much better than Skippy right now.
We are. We're so much better than Skippy. So yeah, because Alex was off, washes his hands. Jane tries to talk to Skippy. Skippy speaks in total gibberish.
Right.
Alex comes back, and Skippy says, "Oh, I need to go wash the hair on my hands," because Alex corrects him about washing his hair. And Jane and Alex immediately almost start making out hard at the table.
At Guido's.
At Guido's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
While
like, "You
this
bring
is
out the
going-
animal in me." Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just hot and heavy.
Yeah.
Hot and heavy.
At Guido's. Yeah. Real quick, Corey, you waited tables before, yeah?
Oh, sure.
Did you ever wait on tables where couples were like that, like all over each other, like?
Oh, I would stand there and stare. I'm that kind of an asshole.
I would do. Oh yeah. Well, there's not much more you can do. Like you can't even approach the table when they're dry humping each other at the booth. So it just made me think of that. Yeah.
Yep.
I just felt for the waiters at Guido's. But as this is going on, Jen and Mallory come in to pick up a pizza and see Alex making out with Jane.
They come in apparently hugging each other, arms wrapped around each other. I've never seen this closeness before between Mallory and Jennifer, this physical closeness.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
It makes no sense. And why did they come to pick up a pizza instead of ordering it and having delivery? It's really weird. The other waiter stuff I want to bring up. I would be, if I were the waiter at Guido's, I would be even more upset that she looks like she's 16, 17, he's like 18, 19, and I'm going to get the smallest of tips because neither of these people have jobs.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing worse than waiting on teenagers alone.
Yeah. They're going to be here forever, and I'm not going to get much of a tip.
So Skippy comes out from the bathroom. Mallory and Jennifer stop him. Mallory gets his attention, and Skippy's like, "Oh yeah, you should go over and say hi to Jane." Mallory grabs Skippy and kisses him to divert him from looking over there. Skippy is shocked, and he tries to tell her, "I've moved on, Mallory." And he turns around, and he sees Alex and Jane making out. They were making out for a long time.
And he screams.
Yes!
He screams, and we haven't mentioned that, like, he's been jumping and flailing all over the goddamn set this entire scene. Like, he's been chewing the scenery like so many breadsticks. It's just annoying.
You mean the breadsticks at Guido's, Paul? They're very good.
Great breadsticks. Yeah, very buttery and garlicky. I love them.
Yeah. And
sometimes I fill up on them. I don't order a full entree, and then I don't have to pay as much tip. It's pretty great. Guido's, I love it. Oh.
At the end of the scene, to go along with what Paul was saying about the destruction, Skippy picks up his cane and holds it sideways. And as he's walking out, it smashes into every table, knocking everything over.
Oh, and you know what? There's this old guy who's like a featured extra behind them at a table with two women, and he
terribly.
he looks like he's like Hubert Humphrey. He looks like this big old, like, Chicago politics type guy. And he is just like schmacking all over the place. I love him. I would watch a whole TV show about this guy.
It'd be great if they gave him a spinoff. All right. And then we cut to what I think is the most interesting part of this whole entire episode, Skippy's room, which we have never seen before.
Well, it was fascinating too.
I want to talk about the production design of Skippy's room. To me, it looked like a typical teenager's messy room, and then the production designer said, "You know what? We have a lot of holiday props left around. Let's put that on top of everything too." Because he has Easter eggs across his bed. He's got, at one point I saw like a jack-o'-lantern a banner. Like, he's got all this crazy holiday stuff around his room.
Now, this is interesting This is almost like a Rorschach test of what do you notice in Skippy's room, because I didn't notice anything.
I know what you noticed.
I know
what you noticed.
Oh yeah, two things. One, I was captivated by the multiple stickers that read "Glass handle with care" all over the room. Like, it was just like dozens of them on different items, and then a huge poster of Gerald Ford.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah. Corey, what did you notice?
The Gerald Ford poster was the thing that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
I really want, like, a psychologist, like, if you looked at this person's room, what would it say about them? Because it seems like you wouldn't be able to define them with all the stuff that's in there.
Yeah, and he has an aquarium. He has 2 turtles that are pets that he never even names them.
Right.
He also has a Scrabble board nailed to the wall, which, that's what you want Scrabble for, is just to be on a wall.
Right. A trampoline.
Yes, the trampoline was insane.
It's all insane. He gets mad at Alex. He's jumping on the trampoline, and really, this last scene is just like a whole apology kind of scene where we, kind of saw this going. Now that Skippy knows, but yeah, he's jumping up and down. Alex tries to tell him, one day you'll find a special girl. Mallory comes in to check on him. It was just like this quick wrap-up in this insane bedroom.
Yeah. It was definitely just the weirdest, like, TGI Fridays set decoration for an insane person.
Yeah.
And everything that happens in there is just the normal Family Ties wrap-up. But once again, they do the thing of, like, it's Alex's fault for not giving Jane over, and there's this whole thing about, like, there's 2 Alexes, and one is the nice guy, and one's the horn dog, and it's like, no, Jane likes him, she doesn't like you, Skippy. It's up to her.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, but that's the way it goes. I mean, no one's fault.
Yeah.
You like who you like.
And then Mallory comes in, and I don't even know what the point of her coming in is.
Doesn't make any sense. This could have been just settled with Alex and Skippy.
Skippy-Mallory relationship.
Yeah.
It plugs him back into her, like now he's going to keep chasing her over again.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just with this again, back to Skippy's room. I would never picture Skippy to have this room. This is not what I would picture Skippy Handelman's room to look like.
Remember his little sister? She had the coolest room. I loved her room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I picture something like more well organized, maybe a little bit childish, because he's still kind of childish, but not this.
His room would have been like.
I was going to say, how did Skippy and Alex end up spooning on the bed together?
It had to do with the trampoline.
Oh, yeah.
I think it had to do with the trampoline. Like, he jumps on the trampoline, jumps on the bed, and Alex follows him.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
Yeah.
No. It's like, I don't, like, at the top of this episode, I said we're halfway through season 3, and these are the type of episodes they're doing. And it's just weird. And I guess, like we were saying, each season sort of had its own character and what the type of show it was trying to be. And like you said, Corey, I feel like it's just a holding pattern because they've been, by their own whatever, forced into the situation of Meredith Baxter being pregnant. And they don't know what the hell to do.
Until they can get the whole family back together again and really have even out storylines for themselves. Because right now, I feel like they were getting information on a weekly basis. We have her, we don't have her, right around her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing, is that a lot of these episodes feel so half-baked. It feels like, it was a last-minute, all right, we're going to make this kind of an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're coming up with ideas that just don't have any steam. It's like it's not enough to get you to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we're halfway through, guys. Stay with us, everybody. We're going to get through this season. This very vanilla season. All right? For questions and comments, be sure to write us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at QTWFT. We're all also on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like our Facebook page. We want to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanboy Comics. Fanboy Comics is an online conglomerate of geek media providing its readers with daily insights and reviews into the geek pop culture spectrum. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the theme song Without Us. Be sure to check out Perry's music at perryadams.net. We like to thank Brian Dillon. He is the president of Fanboy Comics, and he also edits our show. And lastly, Sean Foster, Fanboy Comics graphic designer, who does our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.